Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's panel discussion, Unpause, Menopause, and Beyond. I'm Gayatri, your moderator for today. I have a doctorate in biological sciences and worked as a researcher before moving into science communication, and now I'm one of the founders of Miyara, one of today's hosts. So, why are we here today? October is the Menopause Awareness Month. Why does menopause even need awareness? Well, a woman is said to be in menopause if she has gone through 12 months without her periods, which can happen in the late 40s to early 50s. While it sounds very simple, behind the scene, the body is going through a lot of changes, particularly fluctuations of the reproductive hormones like estrogen and progesterone, which slowly reduce in the amount. So, what does all this mean to her physical and mental health? And that is why we are here today. One more thing is that these changes, in fact, happen from 5 to 10 years before the actual menopause itself. And that period is called the perimenopause. So, this is a topic that all women and their families included should be aware of starting from at least their 30s and beyond. And with this, we will start today's session, the panel discussion. So today's hosts are both Miyara and TherapHeal. I would like Sanjana from Miyara to just briefly introduce Miyara and then move over to Ananya from TherapHeal to introduce therapy.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Gayatri, for the introduction, and thank you all the panelists for joining us today. So, my name is Sanjana. I am one of the founders of Miyara along with Gayatri. So, Miyara is a science and evidence based health platform, and the aim that the awareness that we're trying to create is to support women through midlife, especially in these critical years of perimenopause and menopause. So we reach about 6,000 women and people through our information and our health resources. We have access to many different products, and we've built a community to support women through perimenopause and menopause. So our services include health information, customized wellness programs, which we can talk about later on in the talk, um, corporate workshops, as well as preventative health screenings, as well as a marketplace of femtech products. So we really focus on all the different aspects of menopause, and for us, this flower really represents all the different areas in which we work. So now I will hand over to Ananya, who will give a brief introduction about TherapHeal, who is also one of our hosts today. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this panel discussion on a topic which we usually don't really talk about. Menopause is also probably a paused topic or a paused discussion, even when we talk about our health. So I'm so glad that you have joined us today. And it gives me immense pleasure to host this along with Miyara, who are doing a wonderful initiative and job in terms of creating awareness about menopause. I'm Dr. Ananya. I am the founder, director, and chief clinical psychologist of TherapHeal. TherapHeal is an online mental health platform. It's an international online mental health platform. We have a huge team of clinical psychologists and psychiatrists providing mental health services all across the globe. Our mission is to become a trusted channel of support and compassionate care for our clients to aid them in their road to recovery and growth. Um, I I also would like to take this opportunity to announce our MOU with Miyara, and we are coming together to provide a holistic uh, service and holistic intervention for menopausal women, where we will not only take care of the physical aspect, the dietary aspect, the nutritional aspect, but also the mental health and psychosocial aspects. And that sort of summarizes why we are today. Today, we will be giving a glimpse of what menopause is about. And if you are interested to know more about menopause or to access our services, you can always approach us. Our website is www.therapheal.in, and these are all the kind of services we are providing. We uphold the values of compassionate care, ethical practice, professional integrity, inclusivity, and we are social justice informed. And at the end of our talk, we will also be sharing a Google form where we will give more information about how you can access our combined services. Both Miyara and TherapHeal had come together to provide combined services on menopause. So I hope you have a wonderful discussion. You enjoy the discussion on menopause. And over to you, Zainab. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ananya, and thanks a lot, Sanjana. We are very happy to have this MOU between TherapHeal and Miyara and take menopause forward in a very positive way. Uh, so today I would like to, right now I would like to introduce our panel for today's discussion. We have Dr. Amodita Ahuja. She is currently not here because she had to take care of some doctor duties, emergency duties, but hopefully she will join us later on. She is a consultant gynecologist, obstetrician, and laparoscopic surgeon. She has super specialized in minimally invasive surgeries, after which she joined as a consultant in a premier hospital in Delhi. She's also the founder of an online consultancy and educational platform, Project Pink Butterfly. This Her goal is to bring back the soul in healthcare, which is full of empathy, honesty, trust, and respect through this project, Pink Butterfly. Uh, our clinical dietitian is Soumya Piru, who's here. She is a holistic dietitian with a rich experience of 15 plus years in the management of lifestyle disorders. Soumya aims to spread the wisdom of nutrition science for a healthy living. Next, we have Anupama Gopal, our lifestyle and fitness coach. Anupama, as a lifestyle and fitness coach, she's also she's also been trained as a Pilates. She's also a Pilates master trainer and has trained with Lolita San Miguel, one of the living Pilates elders in Florida, Michael King, and a wide array of renowned Reebok global masters. The Reebok Step program has been her longtime personal favorite until the iron bug hit her, and now her current favorite is powerlifting. Um, and finally, we have Ms. Shantani Mukherjee. She's a clinical psychologist from Therapy who's here today. She's an RCI registered clinical psychologist with 6 years of clinical experience and is currently working as a consultant psychologist at Therapy. Having keen enthusiasm for her work and in the mental health field, Ms. Shantani has facilitated various support groups and webinars dedicated to women and family mental health. Additionally, she has been trained in play therapy under the Dr. Jolly Laha and Lucy Bowen National Play Therapy Association and has received psychoanalysis training from Indian Psychoanalytical Society. She's drawn to the field of mental health, owing to its keen acceptance of humanity and human emotions. So, welcome to all the panelists. Thank you for coming here today and talking to us. Um, I would like to start by just briefly talking about the various symptoms that women go through during their perimenopause and menopause. And based on this is what our discussion today is going to be. So, as I said earlier, the women that as they're going through the perimenopause and menopause, which can start late 30s, early 40s, and their menopause is late 40s, early 50s, they have physical symptoms and mental health symptoms due to these differences, the changes in their hormones. These symptoms can start from basically irregular periods, which you relate to the reproductive health, vaginal dryness, but they can move on to other physical things like hot flashes, pins and needles, dryness of the skin, digestive gut health issues, um, and also then move on to a lot of mental health issues, including anxiety, depression, brain fog, a feel of memory loss issues, and so on. So, with this array of symptoms that occur due to the changes in hormones in the body, what can one do? And this is why we would like the experts today to give us their view on it. So, starting with Soumya, so we hear about nutritional deficiencies that can affect both physical and mental health during menopause. What can these be, and how do we keep it in balance?
So basically, the nutritional deficiency that we commonly come across during perimenopausal states is vitamin D, B12, and calcium. And these three nutrients are closely related to your bone and muscle health, intestinal health, and your cognitive ability. So the only way to balance this is to understand the composition of the food, the macronutrients. So what happens is whenever the blood report shows a deficiency of these nutrients, the first thing the client or the patient does is go to the doctor and get some supplementation done to get it rectified. But that is not the way to go about it. It is just a superficial treatment. What we need to understand is we need to have a wholesome diet. Every food is a composite of different nutrients. So it doesn't only give you carbs, proteins, and fats, but it has all the other vitamins and minerals which are very essential for the normal functioning of the body. So thanks to this Google and the WhatsApp University, people get easily influenced by the influencers and the celebrities propagating different fat diets. So what happens is in the process, they cut down different food groups. They go on low carbohydrate diet, keto diet, high protein diet. So restricting one food group actually deprives the body of the nutrients which is supposed to give. So the balance part is you need to concentrate on the macronutrient distribution rather than just supplement the nutrients which are deficient. So that is the way to go about it. And regarding the other nutrients, when I say macronutrients, so again, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, it has to be like balanced. Too much of one thing or too less of one thing can create a lot of imbalance in the gut health as well as related to mental ability as well.
Gayatri, I think you're muted.
So sorry. Yeah. So as thanks, Soumya. As you mentioned, balance is the key here for nutrition. Um, Over to you, Shantini. What basic mental health issues can arise during menopause? And apart from physiological causes that create behavioral issues, are there any other factors that can lead to these issues?
Sure. Hi, Gayatri, and thank you so much for TherapHeal and Miyara, first of all. My heartiest thanks to share this platform with you all and esteemed members I can see here. I was hearing Soumya ma'am talking about nutrition deficiencies, so I also learned a lot from her while she was talking. So yeah, basically when we talk about menopause, as you mentioned, we talk about that period of 40s and 50s mostly. And the perimenopause starts from the late 30s period. So basically, the menopausal group of women, except the exceptional cases, are the middle ages women. So when they come to us with certain mental health issues, some common symptoms we always actually recognize there's like depressive symptoms, anxiety, frustration, irritability, boredom, emptiness, like this.
Mm-hmm.
But here is a twist. Like, if we put the blame only on the menopause regarding all the symptoms they are having, we are actually sidetracking certain other factors too. Like, obviously, menopause, we have some hormonal changes, body changes, physiological changes, which act as a very important cause for these symptoms. But we have seen that there is some other cumulative factors which equally, along with menopause, act as a contributory factor in the mental health of women. Like, for example, if a person going through menopause comes to us with some depressive or anxiety symptoms or irritability, the first
Mm.
thing we do is get a detailed psychiatric history. And
Okay.
sometimes we found that they have a previous depression history also, a previous anxiety history also, which makes them more psychologically vulnerable towards getting all these mental health issues during the menopause period also. Second is, if you have a very negative attitude towards the whole menopause system, so obviously you will get some mental health issues. Like, for example, in our society mostly, that menstrual cycle, childbearing is very strongly associated with the femininity, our value, our existence. So if this is minus from our life, as if we are losing our femininity or losing our existence as a female, we try to feel that emptiness within us. So it's very strong association of menstrual cycle with femininity, which is absolutely not true. Menstrual cycle is a part of biological part of femininity,
True.
but femininity is a very huge concept. Also, the women also face some realistic life hassles, day-to-day hassles with their struggling with interpersonal relationships. If someone is dependent on smoking or alcohol, that also add to a contributory factor along with menopause. So basically the lifestyle, psychologically and physically, what you're having at that time, along with menopausal and hormonal changes, this also acts as a contributory factor to
Yes.
develop such mental health issues.
Yeah. So as I understand, you're saying that if there are menopause and menopausal symptoms itself that affect physical and mental health, but the social factors around also further could make the same symptoms worse uh, in one way or the other. Yeah. Okay. And coming to you, Anupama, what can be the basic exercise and fitness strategies that can help women passing through menopause stay physically and mentally healthy?
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me this evening. It's such a pleasure to hear everyone talk about women and about menopause. The reason I'm saying these two things is, everywhere world over, the amount of research that is done with women in the areas of fitness, the domain that I come from, is a very, very small percentage. World over, exercise programs are written for men, keeping men's bodies in mind.
Mm,
Research in the domain of fitness is done with men as the focus group and sample groups everywhere. So, with the result, what we have is how exercise works on women is a very new area of research. In fact, menopause itself is a very new area of research. And then you're talking about fitness for perimenopausal and menopausal women. So I want to put that out there to say that, I think all of us collectively, I think, will be the change makers for the generations to come, right? Because there are groups of people all over the world. I mean, people like us who are actually, spearheading this movement to understanding what happens to women during perimenopause and menopause. And like Shantri mentioned, this is just a life stage, right? We have existed before this. We're continuing to exist post this life stage. Focus seems to be around menopause, and I don't mean to diminish the impact that it has on women, but all I want to say is the more women take menopause, perimenopause, and menopausal symptoms in their stride, the easier it is going to be for us to be able to move forward. Now, saying that, we're talking about fitness in this life stage. Unfortunately, for a lot of us, fitness is not in our scheme of things at all, right?
mm,
I think we're talking of sedentary lifestyle as the second most biggest killer in the world, only next to diabetes. So now think about this and put this in the context of women in the perimenopause and menopause stage. So we are almost fighting multiple battles here. Now, fitness for all of us is critical, both for physical well being and mental well being. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. There is enough research out there which says how exercise can be extremely stimulating for the body and the mind. Now, with all the symptoms that you mentioned, Gayatri, for women dealing with perimenopause and menopause, I can't even begin to tell you how physical training and fitness is actually going to help women. I only wish more women would start taking this more seriously. The impact of physical activity and fitness in perimenopause and menopause boils down to just a bunch of different things. Already, the hormones are extremely erratic, like we know,
Yeah.
right? The estrogen level drops um, from the perimenopausal years. Now, unfortunately, we don't have specific markers to say when it actually begins. You don't have
True.
like from the age of 35, this will happen, or from the age of 37, it will happen. We don't have those markers. But when estrogen level starts dropping, what also starts happening is, very organically, the body actually starts reacting very differently to sedentary lifestyle. So we could all get away with being sedentary when we are in our 20s and early 30s. We don't even realize we can eat what we want. We cannot absolutely move, but we still look like $1 million. But let's forget the aesthetic part of it, how it impacts us otherwise. The muscle mass starts to deteriorate.
Mm.
For us, we need to be, as women, we need to be stronger as we grow older. We need to maintain the bone density. We need to maintain the lean muscle mass. Okay.
Mm.
Lean muscle mass, actually, more than anything else, forget about the way you look. Looking good is a bonus, but it protects our bones. It gives us greater levels of immunity. Okay.
Mm.
It just generally allows us to look at life more positively. It gives you greater levels of confidence, and a bunch of other things. So fitness, I think, even if you've not been training in your 20s or early 30s, I think mid 30s, all of us should start training in some or the other form. Okay. Maybe when the next round goes on, I can speak a little more about what kinds of training and so on. But definitely, all of us need to stop sitting for such long spells and start moving and start training. For bone health, for leaner muscle mass, which not just impacts the physical body, but it also, releases those happy hormones, the
Yeah.
serotonin and the other hormones, which actually gives us that happy high. At least for that, more women should actually be training.
Yeah, true. And do you a general question that I'm just coming up with is, what about the stress levels? What do how does this is probably for both Anupama and for Shantini. Will the how does fitness help with the stress levels? Um, Maybe Shantini, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Uh, Generally, any kind of physical exercise and body fitness generally channelizes our stress in a very healthy manner. Like in our therapeutic settings, also, we do certain relaxation exercises, we do certain mindfulness techniques in order to relax the body and to lower the stress. And specifically, we also tell the menopausal moments that, like ma'am said, Anupama ma'am said, don't live a very sedentary life. Specifically, we have seen that in the middle age, we want to sit, we don't want to go too much around the bush like that. So just walk or do something or just take a half an hour walk in the morning. So physical energy and mental energy both needs to be channelized in a healthy manner in order to stay fit. So if you're always leading a sedentary life, it will be detrimental also to your physical health and also to your mental health.
Hmm. True. Anupama, do you want to add
Yeah,
something to it?
yeah. So, in fact, perimenopausal and menopausal women need to be doing weight-bearing exercises um, and resistance training, both bone health and building muscle mass, because already we are predisposed to losing muscle, right? And the only way we can continue to retain or build lean muscle mass and maintain bone health is by doing resistance training. So there's a little bit of narrative that changes here. A lot of women are just happy doing cardiovascular work, while that should just be a small portion of what we are doing as perimenopausal and menopausal women. We should start moving towards doing um, hard training. Now, I'm using the word hard as a very relative thing. Okay. When I just begin exercising and if I'm loading the body, that level of load, it could be hard for me vis-a-vis someone who's already been training when they're from their 20s.
True.
So please take the word hard relatively, but it cannot be something that's easy because the body will not adapt. And that's one of the things that all of us in perimenopause and menopause need to understand. So, like I said earlier, when you're younger, the body adapts very quickly. As we grow older, in the late 30s, 40s, and 50s, everything starts to drop, right?
Mm.
So, create that adaptation. You need to load the body positively with positive stimuli. Like I mentioned earlier, stress, there are multiple ways that you can deal with stress. But in my opinion, there's nothing that works for stress relief like exercise does. Like Shantli mentioned, mind body connection, there are various tools. Pilates is one of those fabulous tools where you are actually driving the muscle through your mind. Also,
Mm.
think about it. Any activity that you're doing repetitively will allow you to stay focused and therefore reduce stress. So, when you're doing, let's say, 10 repetitions of 5 sets of something, when you're moving bad as load, it's just no way for you to be troubled by the stress at home or work or what's happening with your children. You are in that moment. Okay. And that causes great stress relief. Exercise also gives you a purpose, right?
Mm.
And that's why we encourage people to set goals. It's very small goals. I want to cycle 5 kilometers. I want to walk 3 kilometers. I want to walk uphill. I want to go on this trek. I want to sign up for a swim lesson. There's a purpose that fitness gives us, and that drive towards achieving that purpose contributes to releasing stress. And of course, physiologically, like I mentioned earlier, there are these hormone releases that happen,
Mm.
serotonin and other happy hormones that get released because of the positive stress that we put on the body. And also, I think exercise impacts the central nervous system. There is a huge connection between physical training and brain. And I think in perimenopause and menopause, more than the reproductive health, which we are all constantly talking about, I think the connection between perimenopause, menopause, and brain health becomes very, very critical to understand because that
Yeah.
controls everything that happens within the body. There is enough research which talks about physical training and brain connection. So you can actually rewire some of the neural connections with strength training. So we start to feel happier, we start to feel better. Um, and one of the reasons why women in this age group also triggers for stress is the way we look. I mean, nobody is going to admit it, right? However much you train and look after yourself, the biological signs of aging do start to show up, right?
Yeah.
The clothes fit differently, right? Every time I wash my hair, I lose so much of hair in the bathroom. Um, and all of these adds to our stress,
Yeah.
right? More you train, you will be able to, I'm not saying you will be able to reverse any of this, but there is a certain confidence that comes with training and its benefits.
But thanks. Yeah, no, it's very true. But that brings a nice segue to what I wanted to ask Soumya. Um, Soumya, so when you talk about stress, we've now spoke about how much fitness is important for combating stress and even for the mental health. What about diet? There is this whole concept of the gut-brain connection also. What you eat affects your mental brain and the vice versa. So what do you have to say about that? And do you have, is there any perimenopause diet plan that you can suggest? Um, Soumya, you're on mute.
Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the research has already proved that there is a strong connection between the gut and the mental health. So we always come across this gut feeling. I mean, whenever we are about to give our presentation or during our exam time, we know that what it feels like when you are stressed out, you have some stomach grumbling and something of that sort. So that connection has always been there, but the research has proved it anyways now. So what happens is, until few years back, it was thought that the neurotransmitters like your dopamine or serotonin, the happy hormones are released by the brain only. But now it has been proved that the gut cells, I mean the bacteria which are lined up in your gut, also release lot of these neurotransmitters, and that is why it clearly shows that whenever you have a dysbiotic gut, I mean there is a problem with your gut, it indirectly affects your mental status as well, and vice versa. So whenever you are anxious or depressed or nervous, it is going to impact on the food choice what you are going to make. So coming to the perimenopausal diet, so as it was discussed so far, that there is a lot of up and down in the hormones that take place during this menstrual cycle. Basically, the progesterone, estrogen, and the FSH and the LH. So the lady ideally has to track a cycle and understand which are the hormones that goes up and down during this cycle. Because why I'm telling this is, hormones are basically a biomolecule, right? So it needs substrate in the form of food. All your proteins, your antioxidants, they catalyze the synthesis of hormones. So unless and until a woman tracks her cycle and understand which are the foods that she needs to incorporate in her daily diet, so symptoms of perimenopause like your hot flushes, vaginal itching, everything is going to crop up quite frequently. So again, now balanced diet is something which always needs to be followed, but depending on the hormonal stages, diet can be actually modified, like focusing more on taking seeds and nuts. Hormones require fats, omega-3 fatty acids, so nuts are a very excellent source of this. So incorporation of nuts is must. Fruits, they are a very good source of nutrients and antioxidants, because body is always in a constant state of oxidation. Free radicals are formed because of the stress around and within the body. So it is always essential that you need to have certain food groups compulsorily taken in your everyday diet. So fruits and nuts is something which always I emphasize on. And the macro distribution. Your carbs, proteins and fats are not villains. They don't
Hello, Soumya? We can't hear you.
arises.
Can you just repeat the last part? We didn't hear you there.
Not about the bad thing about carbohydrates or proteins or fats. We need to understand they are the basic components. They are the energy providers to the body. And when you try to compensate on carbohydrate, the body will look upon proteins and fats as a fuel source. So ultimately, the functions of proteins and fats are compromised in the process. So that affects the synthesis of hormones in the body. So the cortisol is more, the important hormones like the progesterone, estrogen, and the happy hormones, they take a backseat. So that is why a composite diet is very important. You just cannot delete or add on foods as per your convenience, because there is a science behind it. Every cell requires energy. Every hormone is a biomolecule. You need to provide right nutrients. So the media has actually propagated that this is bad, that is bad. Till many years, coconut was considered as bad because it's a source of cholesterol. But now the theory says the other thing, right? So saturated fats, unsaturated fats, everything is required by the body, but in a proportion and in moderation. For that, it is very essential that you seek professional guidance so that your symptoms and the disorders which come with perimenopause and the menopause stage can be halted as early as possible. Because what we have seen with the clients is ladies, like when they are at 40, 45, that is a stage when they are at the peak of their career professionally. And family wise, that is the age when children grow up, they leave their parents for their higher education or job probably. So the stress which surrounds the lady, it makes her impossible or rather difficult to concentrate on the diet, and the easiest thing to eat or munch on as a junk food, as a comfort food. They don't have a way to express their feelings, and that is where the emotional binging starts.
True. Thanks, Soumya. And it's very important to understand the importance of the diet on both the gut health, the brain health, and getting through the perimenopause and menopause stage in a healthy way. Um, Coming over to you, Shantini, as a therapist, what do you suggest that the basic factors a woman can keep in mind to deal with mental health issues?
Okay. This is a very interesting question, actually. So, whenever any kind of woman comes through who are going through menopausal state, before following any kind of exercise, diet, and everything, I always ask them to have a self analysis first. I ask them to lie down, close their eyes, and just figure out what is exactly that is bothering them. Is it menopause? Or along with menopause, there are other certain contributing factors because this is the middle age of their life. So, like both of the ma'ams explained that we will grow old, we will age. There are many factors in socio cultural and environment also, that children are leaving home, they are getting married, my relationship with the partners, etc. etc. So, are those all things accumulated with the menopause? Because sometimes, if we don't get enough family support and healthy social and emotional support from our surroundings, that may also lead to a contributory factor along with menopause. Also, we have seen certain personality vulnerabilities. If I see that a person going through menopause has poor resilience skills, poor coping skills to deal with the stressors and the challenges of life, then we also need to work on that regarding our coping skills, our resilience skills. If they have low self esteem or some body image issues, which acts as a more contributory factor with menopause. Along with this, obviously, exercises, diet, sleep, and please, ladies, pamper yourself at that time. Shower yourself with some physical and mental love. Be a little bit selfish at that time, because you are at middle age, you are not died yet, obviously there is many years more to come. So just pamper yourself, and there are also some relaxation techniques like deep breathing, mindful imagery techniques. You can find those easily in YouTube also, just to calm down your body and mind, just to lower down your level of stress, etc. Talk to your close peoples about your stress and anxieties which you are going through menopause. Your closed ones. Build up a healthy emotional and a social support system at that time. If you're facing a stress in your family and personal life too, along with the menopausal hormonal imbalance, that will deteriorate the condition more rather than enhancing it. So focus on your relationships also and be enriched from them, and you are more than your menstrual cycle. That is all I have to say, because I have seen women concentrate on this fact. Ki now am I a woman right now? I have stopped with the menstrual cycle, etc. You have many qualities of femininity and other aspects. So you're more than your menstrual cycle. This is just a natural cycle and a phase of life. Accept it and enjoy it.
Very beautifully said, Shantini. It is that women are more than their menstrual cycle, basically. So this is just a passing phase in life. Um, and coming over to Anupama, you I mean, I'm sure you have some comments to say about even what Anthony mentioned here. But more than that, what I also want to ask you is women have a, not just women, but a lot of people, and also during this stage, we find it hard to be motivated to actually do physical exercise, especially even if you have on top of as one of the symptoms of perimenopause, menopause, if it is mental health, it makes it even harder to feel motivated to actually get into fitness. So, what can you suggest for that?
Right. Yeah, I loved what Shantini said. Women are more than their menstrual cycles. But I think it's also true that the raging hormonal changes does impact women in many, many ways. I think the only difference is some women it impacts them less, some women more. But I think all of us are going through this or will go through this at some life stage or the other. But the nice thing about it is, if we're able to navigate through it well, with the right kind of resources, like everybody mentioned in this panel, with nutrition, with social support, with family support, with work support. I think we all spend a large part of our work days at work. So I think it's also important that the global corporate environment starts recognizing menopause as much as it's recognizing pregnancy and other things, right? And give women more privileges. So if we're able to navigate through this life stage, then post-menopausal, everything settles down, right? But it's only this phase if we are able to do it well. Now, like you asked, yes, motivation becomes an issue also because of the hormonal change. So women in perimenopause and menopause are found to be less motivated. I mean, it's a hormonal thing. So I would encourage people, women, to sort of put your heads down and drive through it. What can you do? You can find a partner. You can be in a group class because the dynamics of a group is so encouraging and so full of energy that even if you are not motivated to take that first step, if you just get out of the house and join that class, you will not even realize how that 60 minutes went by. Or find an activity that you really enjoy. It could be dancing, it could be hiking, it could be swimming. So it's important that women find an activity that they will enjoy, because that's the only way that we are going to be consistent. There is just absolutely no point in paying up money and joining the fanciest gym in your neighborhood if you don't even like going there, right? So I would encourage people, women, to sort of look at these things. Find a body, find a community that supports you, which really is not judging about how much you're lifting or how much you're not lifting. They just don't care. They just want you to show up. You can be in communities where people nudge each other to actually show up, right? Those are things that you can do. I think also it's important that we remain self motivated. When we are in our 20s, I began training when I was in my 20s. And I only wish somebody had told me what its impact will be when I'm in my 50s. I didn't know, but I just trained and I just enjoyed training. But I think when you're in your 30s and 40s, you know why you're doing it. You know that it is going to help you navigate through your perimenopausal and menopausal years. It is going to make you look and feel better. If all of us sort of mentally prep ourselves this to be our end goal, I think even in those not so good days, we can find motivation to perhaps not train 60 minutes, but just get that 35, 40 minutes done. And then tomorrow will be a better day. Because honestly, I know some of you don't trust me, but if you're actually able to step out and train, happy hormones will come in. And then you will feel a better person to finish. You will set out saying, I will do 30 minutes. You will surprise yourself by doing about 60, 70 minutes of your training. I think we all struggle in that first 5 minutes. So get your families to support you, get your kids, get your partners to support you. Tell them if you find me lazy, if you find me not willing to train, just push me out of the door. So I think that's why all these community, these buddy systems, our own journaling, start writing journals. Write how you feel at the end of exercise. When you read that, I'm telling you, you will get up and train the next day, right? So these are some of the things. Or just put big posters in your house, in your refrigerator, in the bathroom, in the living room. Uh, just go out and train.
Nicely said. That's true. We need, and a very good point you brought up. For those who are watching who are much younger, start in your 20s, and then there is no question about trying to get motivation in your 30s and 40s. You will already have, it will be in the system to be motivated. Um,
I just have something to say here. I mean, we don't need motivation to do any of the other things, right? I mean, think about it. If I have to um, get a presentation ready for work tomorrow, however tired I am, I will sit and get it done because I want to do the best presentation ever. If I have a young child at home who's unwell and I'm just falling asleep, I will stay awake and nurture the child to get well. Why is it that we want to be motivated to train when we all realize it is for ourselves? So I think that's a paradigm shift. I know it's not easy, but it's
yeah,
possible. It's possible with communities. It's possible when you have friends encouraging you. It's possible when you have, people like Shantini and everybody else working together to sort of help each other to get to that end goal.
yeah. And like you also mentioned, talking about it, having people to work with a community, and this is one of the things that we really want to do is open up conversations about menopause so that women who are going through it realize that, oh, okay, it's not only me, there are so many women going through it. And especially because perimenopause is a time when you have all these symptoms which are not necessarily, you don't realize it is in menopause, it is related to the fact that you're leading towards menopause. So these are just symptoms that come like a brain fog. You might not connect it to what all it is, um, or anything else like a joint pain. So once you start talking about it and you realize other women are going through it, I think like you said, a collective, a group thing really helps. And then you realize, oh, okay, for you it worked, it can work for me also. So it's about talking about it and having the buddy system, a community to work around with you. Which brings me to this question of how would you advise someone to prepare for menopause? I'm not sure who wants to take this, Shantani or Anu or Soumya. Um, Shantani, do you want to take this? How does somebody prepare to? Uh, you're on mute. Oh, Anu. Okay, sorry. Anu, can you take this?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a question that we can perhaps discuss all day long, right? I remember as a young girl, my mother sat me down to talk about what it is to have my first period and what it means. Nobody really talked to me about what to expect in perimenopause and menopause. I was just left to my own devices. Um, I mean, I did have symptoms, but not much. And I don't know why. I mean, we can look back and say with the many years of training, or just like Shanti mentioned, my whole resilience. We don't know why or what. The thing is, nobody prepares you for perimenopause and menopause. You would perhaps realize that you're going through some symptom, and a year later, you will realize, oh my God, I had that. Maybe those were symptoms of perimenopause. The good thing now is there are conversations. Conversations need to get louder, the conversations need to get bigger. But today, if I need to reach out, I know I can reach out to people, I know I can have conversations, and nobody is going to shun away and say, you know what, you're just getting old, or you know what, this is how it's going to be as you grow older. People don't say that anymore, not as much as they used to do earlier. How do you prepare for menopause? I think families need to start preparing for it. Our social systems need to start preparing for it. And I think every woman needs to teach younger people in the family, like we would about puberty, we would need to have conversations around menopause. Um, I mean, I can only compare this with pregnancy, right? Pregnancy was not spoken about in so much detail. Um, like it is now about 15, 20 years ago. There weren't
Mm,
classes. There weren't classes that you could go with your partners to understand birthing. Today, I have choices. I understand there are so many people to talk about birthing. I can make choices of how I want to birth my child, lactation, prenatal and postnatal classes, and so on. It's become so mainstream now, and it's become so
mm,
commercial. It's, of course, another story. But I think menopause will get there. fortunate or the unfortunate thing is, I think we are the bunch of people all over the world. We are in smaller groups, but I think we are going to leave behind so much for the younger generations to use
Wonderful.
and to thrive with. So how will you prepare? I think preparation for perimenopause and menopause has to happen both at mental and physical levels.
Mm,
Women need to understand that the bodies are going to change. And it's not just enough if we say it is going to change, we need to understand how it's going to change. Um, and if we have these conversations earlier, like I mentioned, and like Samya was mentioning, nutritionally, training wise, mental health wise, women will be in a better place. First time I have a brain fog, I will understand that, yes, I'm supposed to expect it.
yeah,
I mean, it's interesting, right? The first time I had heavy bleeding, I never thought it was perimenopausal. I just thought it's a one off thing.
yeah,
Um, I mean, I would laugh now, and I'm sure many of you in this audience will as well. I started understanding what perimenopause meant much after I had almost end phase of my transition, right? So
mm,
that's true with a lot of people my age because nobody really talks to us about it. It only comes from, I think, one's own interest. And therefore, now there are conversations around it. But if you ask for
yeah,
preparation, I think it's an ongoing thing. You need to have these conversations. Older women or women our age need to have these conversations with younger women in the families and start putting them on the path to a better lifestyle. We do that with other things, right? We encourage children to eat clean. We keep junk away from the house because we
yeah,
want them to be healthier. I
yeah,
think we need to also do this in preparation for menopause. It's a life stage. It's going to come one day or the other.
yeah. No,
And
very good point.
And
And
also,
I,
I think menopause education needs to go to schools and colleges. Just like menstrual health is now going into schools and colleges, menopausal health, menopausal life stage needs to go into schools and colleges. Maybe not schools, but colleges for sure, and to corporates for sure.
yeah. So those are very good points, which brings to the whole fact that the social, the family, the social aspects where everybody needs to be involved. Do you have any comments about that? How cultural, social, and family involvement is required in preparing women at different stages of their life? Shantini?
Yeah. I think Anupama ma'am described it very beautifully because whenever we go through a transition phase in life, menopause is also a transition. Like suppose our first day at school, our first day at college. So we need to talk about it. So menopause will not be a very big issue to make ourselves physically and mentally prepared if it is talked out loudly, like ma'am
Mm,
said in large community base everything is very in a hush hush tone for menstrual cycle menopause sexual health and all this kind of taboos which in which societies exist if anything is in a hush hush tone we need ourselves to be more prepared for it that is something very big is coming in on my life and we need to prepare for it so obviously community awareness school awareness college awareness in all kinds of genders like nowadays lgbtq community is tremendously working beautifully so somehow our indian system and the asian system is also getting aware of the lgbtq community so we need to do it in a larger scale so that we always talk about menstrual health, menopausal health, how to prepare. And it has to be go on for years. It is not like I'm having a 5 minute or 6 minute talk with you and I'm expecting the woman to understand everything within that 10 minutes. So if it is going on for years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, that makes the things more lenient and more acceptable that okay, I'm slowly preparing myself for another transition in my life. Like the previous transitions I have traversed, this is another transition in my life.
Can't hear
Uh,
her.
I can't hear
mm.
Gayatri here. True. Hello.
Can't hear you, Gayatri.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't hear you.
Now can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, the mute. Okay, got muted again. Uh, so I was asking Soumya about what her opinion on this whole preparing for perimenopause, menopause nutritionally, like how Anu mentioned, keeping snacks away, uh, and even the social cultural thing. Now you have a family, so do you have any suggestions, recommendations on how to work the whole family and social system in terms of preparing for perimenopause? In there, Soumya, she there?
I think she's having a network issue.
Okay. Um, okay. So, any last words, um, Anu and Shantini, for the viewers, the women, on how they should look at menopause holistically to move forward? Anu?
Hear me?
Yeah, no, I can hear.
Okay. Um, my last comments really will be, I think we should stop being, what's the word, petrified of this life stage. There will be changes in our bodies, physical changes in our bodies, and that's part of the process of growing older. And growing older need not mean that you're slowing down. It need not mean that you look less beautiful. It just means that uh, that's how it is. We all need to grow older, and enjoy that process of being older. And there are lots of things that we can do. I mean, being older means in some ways less responsibility of certain things. You don't have little toddlers, little infants to nurture. Majority of us don't have to do that. It means that you're at a certain life stage in your careers, which means you can make some choices. It's like that. So I think the more you sort of get uh, petrified and apprehensive about it, it's again a vicious cycle of more stress, and therefore all the other symptoms that stress brings on. Um, I think conversations with friends need to be had. All of us need to develop that whole interactive, strong relational values with partners within the family, with close relatives, with close social circles. Because I think when women have conversations, they're more at peace with themselves. I don't think a lot of us are looking for solutions to problems. We just want our problems to be heard sometimes. And I think if there are opportunities to have conversations in a very non judgmental sort of a way, I think a lot of women will thrive. And I think the start of that needs to be within the families. We must be able to talk to our partners about the various issues, right? Sexual health becomes an issue as we grow older. We need to be able to have that conversation with our partners. Issues with children, our whole approach to how life could be stressful at home and at work. All of this becomes critical, compounded with the raging hormones, compounded with our whole attitude to life. But if we are able to, you know, open and transparent, and if we are able to get the support that we need, I think women will really thrive in this life stage. So my only leaving passing comment will be, last comment really will be, menopause and perimenopause cannot be handled by women alone. I think families and social setup and corporates need to gather around her and give her the support that she needs. She just needs a little bit of support. Otherwise, she's strong enough to manage by herself. But I think that needs to be done. And all the myths around perimenopause and menopause need to go, right?
Right.
There are lots of them. There are tons of them. And one of the most frequent ones that I hear is uh, you will know when you're in perimenopausal. You will not know. It's not like a date on the calendar that suddenly pops up, like my birthday. So the average age for menopause in Indian women is supposed to be at 48. It's not like magically on my 48th birthday something happens to my body, right? It happens for a long time and we don't even realize it. So I think that's one of the biggest myths that need to be demystified in various forums, in various groups, and in conversations. But I think, ladies, we need to enjoy perimenopause and menopause because I think the more you demonize it, it's going to come and bite our butts.
Yeah, no, very nicely said. Enjoy this process. It's a life stage. You're going to go through it like you've been through, like women have gone through all the other life stages. It is just about being aware of it so that you know what you should do in this life stage. Just like you had to be aware of your pregnancy, you had to be aware of your postpartum. It's about just building the awareness. Um, Shantini, do you want to add something?
Yeah, actually, Anupama said everything. But yeah, absolutely. Like, embrace your old age because it is not something that is going to eat you up. Enjoy it and be a little bit self aware. Also, talk to people. It is if you're facing something, any kind of emotional issues, whether it is related to menopause or some other middle age issues, don't be fearful to be a little bit more open towards it. Identify those red flags and be a little bit more aware of the mental health platforms. Like, you can always seek support from the therapist, you can always seek support from the psychiatrist, clinical psychologist, if you are not finding enough social or emotional support around your life. So there is nothing, no taboo, don't exist any kind of taboo in your mind. Just be free from all the taboos because there is nothing bad to talk about it. It's a very natural cycle of your life. If you're feeling that we need to talk, we need to talk out, we need to be self aware. Some things I know, some things I do not know, go to a gynecologist. Don't assume things that this will happen to me, or maybe after menopause this will happen to me. Do not google too much because google has many like sites which have wrong information. So go to those people who can actually give you the education about menopause. Don't assume anything, don't reach to fast conclusions, and be aware of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Very nicely put together. And um I have some key takeaways from what we have all said, spoken. One is you are more than your menstrual cycle. Pamper yourself, shower yourself with physical and mental love. Find your balanced diet, as Soumya nicely put it. It's all about proportion and portion control. Fitness is important for both the physical and mental well being, and we have to just stop sweating and start moving. Start early if possible. Talk to people, be open, be allow yourself to be vulnerable, I would say, is one of the things that came about. And you can actually go seek help if required, because there are people out there to help you. The other things about menopause in general is the conversations need to get louder, bigger. Awareness is the first step. Menopause education needs to go to colleges and corporates, and we all need to stop being scared of this life stage. It's just a passing time. It's going to come, it's going to go. We just need to make sure we are healthy through it for ourselves, for our family, for the society. Um, and like Shantini nicely said, it's shower yourself with that love at this stage because you need it. Thanks a lot for talking about all these things, all the different aspects of what women go through menopause. And these are a lot of lifestyle related aspects that we can work on to prepare ourselves for this stage of life. I just want to briefly just point out that there are medical interventions also for perimenopause and menopause if the symptoms are very severe, and this requires gynecological consultation. So uh, go to your gynecologist in case any of the symptoms are severe, and you can talk to them. They might again redirect you to the other uh, any of these lifestyle health related work. And lifestyle always sets the ground for also medical intervention. So working on a holistic um approach to healthy life will set the ground, set your body for any medical interventions that are all required and which will help you further solve any health issues that you might have. Uh, and this is what we have. I just want to also conclude by saying that um, at Miyara, we have these customized programs which are include nutrition, fitness. The nutritionists, our experts are here. The dietitian Saumya. We have Anupama Gopal, and we are very excited that we are now have TherapHeal as our one of our mental health partners, and together, I think creating this holistic approach to treating ourselves and showering ourselves with the love of a healthy life, I think is the way to go forward for every woman. So if you're seeking any kind of information, advice, or just a conversation, consultation you need on what you can do about any, it need not be even a health issue. It can just be for general well-being. What do I do next? How do I prepare myself? I think you can look us up in the YouTube video down at the description. I think there is a Google form where you can give us feedback. There are contact details there. You can contact us. We are always open to having conversations and seeing if we can help you in any way. So, with that, I would like to conclude today's panel discussion. Uh, Thanks a lot, Shantini, Anupama, and Saumya for giving your time talking about all these health issues. Not a health issue, I shouldn't call it an issue. This health stage. I'll correct myself there. This health stage so that we all thrive through this time of menopause. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Um, Zainab, would you want to join in? And Sanjana, do you have anything to say?
Hi. Thank you very much, all of you. It was a great discussion, and I think it really highlights that we all need to have a different point of view about menopause, embrace aging. You're more than your menstrual cycle. So many important nuggets of wisdom came. Stop sitting around, start moving. And that's what we at Miyara are really passionate about, to create this kind of holistic approach, and we're very happy to be partnering with TherapHeal on this. So thank you, and yeah, thank you to all the panelists for your important words of wisdom.
We are just as delighted to be partnering with Miyara. So, thank you so much. This was a very delightful discussion. We've also got some comments from our audience who have found it very useful. I'd just like to say it out. Sarja has commented that this is a very powerful discussion and motivates me to continue taking charge of my life. Kudos to each and every one of you for the change you are trying to bring about. Thank you, everyone. So it completely reflects how impactful this has been. So thank you, Miyara, for collaborating with us and helping us organize this as well. And on behalf of the entire team of both Miyara and TherapHeal, I am honored to have the opportunity to present this vote of thanks to our panelists, of course, Dr. Anupama, Dr. Soumya, Santhini ma'am, as well as Dr. Amodita, although she couldn't join us today. But thank you all for taking out time from your busy schedules today and enlightening us with such an informative session and such an important discussion. I definitely got to learn so much. It was very delightful experience to hear all of your very valuable and very relevant insights into menopause, a topic that I haven't seen a discussion going on about it before. So thank you so much. Goes without saying, thank you so much, Gayatri and Sanjana, for all the organizations, all the immense effort that you've put into the organization of this event.
I'd also like to thank the backend team, Mansi, and everyone else involved in organization of the session today. A big thank you to Dr. Ananya for always guiding and supporting us through all the events. And last but never the least, our audience, thank you for joining us and thank you for witnessing this YouTube live. And with that, I hope you have a wonderful evening ahead. And we hope that we've all taken something away, something very valuable away from this session.
I just will add
That's
one
it.
thing. Miyara and TherapHeal are really change makers, as Anu mentioned, to start these conversations. So let's continue to do that together.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right. I'd
Go ahead.
also like to just point out that we have a feedback form in our description link on YouTube. So therein you can also find ways to contact us. We also have it on our screen for TherapHeal, and here's something for Miyara as well, how you can contact both the organizations. You will also find the same in our feedback form. So please do find 2 minutes to fill the feedback form, and we'd be very happy to have your feedback on the session so that we can continue to improve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Zen.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye
Okay.
bye.
Bye.